Hello everyone, welcome to BAJIRAO IAS Academy, and today we have a very interesting topic to discuss, which is triggering an artificial rain in Delhi through cloud seeding. And in fact, the artificial rain or cloud seeding aimed at controlling the air pollution or harmful levels of air pollution in National Capital Territory region. Now, if we discuss the context of this news, on Tuesday afternoon this week, a small aircraft sprinkled over the clouds across Delhi small quantities of silver iodide and sodium chloride compounds, because both silver iodide and sodium chloride compounds can trigger artificial rain. And this method is called as cloud seeding. In fact, the cloud seeding method aimed at tackling the deteriorating air quality in Delhi across the National Capital Territory, particularly during the winter months. And in fact, there are a combination of factors which contributes to deteriorating air quality in Delhi. Now, if we talk about the factors which have been contributing for deteriorating air quality across Delhi, stubble burning is one of the major reason for deteriorating air quality. And apart from stubble burning, construction dust is also another major problem of air pollution. And in fact, vehicular emissions and industrial emissions, so these are other major factors which have been contributing for deteriorating air quality across Delhi. Now, we all knew that every winter season in Delhi, so the air quality in Delhi, it turns into toxic air. We all knew about that, right? So air quality in winters, it turns into toxic air, and this toxic air includes a mix of dust, smoke and chemicals. And in fact, during winter season also, temperatures drops quickly, and slow temperatures or a quickly dropping temperatures would also further slow down the wind movement as well. And in fact, this phenomenon is known as temperature inversion. So temperature inversion is one of the key factor for higher levels of air pollution across the National Capital Territory region. And in fact, within this toxic air, suspended particulate matter 2.5, it is a very small, a very tiny, that it could easily enter into the blood streams of individual. And in fact, the particulate matter 2.5 is released from the vehicular emissions, industrial emissions, and also the construction dust and even stubble burning as well. So they are one of the key sources of particulate matter 2.5, and they could also release particulate matter 10 as well. And in fact, the mix of gases such as nitrogen dioxide and sulfur dioxide, so they are harmful and toxic gases which are actually suspended in the air. Both sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide, along with the particulate matter 2.5, they are being called as harmful particles. The result is a grey choking haze that blankets the entire city. Now, if you go to Delhi during the winters, you could clearly see a grey choking haze that blankets the entire city. And in fact, it is the deadly mix of airborne particles. And this mix of airborne particles, it could easily damage lungs, and in fact, it could also have, a prolonged exposure of it. It would also have heart and lung diseases, respiratory infections, and also adverse birth outcomes as well. Right? So therefore, because of this particular reason, because of the harmful nature of suspended air particles, Delhi has been initiating an artificial rain through the cloud seeding method. So this is the reason that Delhi has been initiating a first of its kind, a cloud seeding. So we'll understand how cloud seeding actually works, right? So you could see a flights here, or a small aircraft, or even a drone also, right? A small aircraft or a drone can be used for seeding the clouds. This technique is known as seeding the clouds, and for this a small aircraft or a drone may be used. However, cloud seeding is not an ordinary or an easy process. Rather, it is combination of a number of factors. For example, the height of the cloud, status of the atmosphere, and stratification of the clouds, and the moisture distribution across the clouds. So therefore, there are number of factors which actually influence the cloud seeding, which actually result in cloud seeding. So therefore, this is not an easy and a simple process. And in fact, if we talk about the cloud seeding method, the small aircrafts are loaded with the tiny particles, right? So these tiny particles including both silver iodide and sodium chloride. You could use either planes or drones to spray these tiny particles of salt. They are usually known as silver iodide. So therefore, the silver iodide is released into the moisture filled clouds, and in fact these act as a seeds, providing water vapor with something to cling to, right? So in fact, as more droplets started gathering around these particles which are released by these planes, they grow heavier until they fall as a rain. So that's how a cloud seeding would further triggers into an artificial rainfall, right? So in fact, through this artificial rainfall, it is also expected to control Delhi's air pollution as well. And in fact, on Tuesday, images are actually shared by the Indian Institute of Technology Kanpur, and those images clearly shown us the substances being released from the flares which are attached to the aircraft as they fly across these clouds. So however, all attempts of cloud seeding will not result in a rainfall. So therefore, we can say that it could have a mixed results, whether it could trigger into a rainfall that will help control pollution, or it may not result in a rainfall as well, right? So therefore, we could say that the results would be mixed. And in fact, cloud seeding cannot trigger natural clouds, right? So cloud seeding cannot trigger natural clouds. So natural clouds is a sustainable method of creating rainfall. But the problem with the cloud seeding is that they may not generate natural clouds. And in fact, the evidence that cloud seeding reliably increases the rainfall in a particular area, there is a weak evidence for that. There is a weak evidence that cloud seeding will ultimately result in excess rainfall, and it is also a contested as well. And in fact, experts also worry that a significant accumulation of these salts, silver iodide salts, and their accumulation in the clouds or in the soil after this artificial rain, they will be harmful for the ecosystem as well, because you are releasing chemical compounds into the atmosphere, and the chemical compounds would trigger the rainfall. And once an artificial rain takes place, these chemical components would enter into the soil, and they may be harmful for the ecosystem also. So however, the rain may provide a temporary respite from the air pollution, but it also have a negative side as well, as we have just discussed that the chemicals may enter into the soil as well. However, we can say that this is just a mitigation measure. This is just a mitigation measure, but not a preventive measure. So therefore, Delhi should focus on preventive measures. Delhi should focus on reducing air pollution, particularly vehicular emissions, stubble burning, industrial emissions, and also the construction dust as well. So they have to focus on all these different areas. They need to introduce regulation. So preventive measures, focusing on preventive measures will help control air pollution in Delhi rather than mitigation, because mitigation measures are temporary and short-term measures. And in fact, there is no strong evidence that the cloud seeding would result in triggering artificial rainfall also. And apart from that, the cloud seeding is also an expensive process, and it may harm the ecosystem as well. So therefore there are a lot of negative effects for the cloud seeding as well. So instead of focusing on mitigation measures, the Delhi government should focus on long-term preventive measures which are sustainable in nature. So I hope you have understood what is a cloud seeding, and why the Delhi government has been going for the cloud seeding, and why a cloud seeding is not successful, and what we should done in the long term for achieving a sustainable way of mitigating air pollution in Delhi. So thank you so much. So please subscribe our YouTube channel and also like the video.